Well, hello there to all the good people of Ohio and beyond. This is Aaron Knapp, and you're tuned into Unplugged, broadcasting without permission. This is a place where the truth gets louder and we dig deeper, and where we always remember be lawful, not awful. If you want the full stories, the documents, the videos, and everything they don't want you to see, head on over to AaronKnappUnplugged.com, my new home for every investigation, every episode, and every update. And while you're here, be sure to like the video, follow the page, and hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs the truth. We're building something real here. We're building something fearless, and we're doing it together. Welcome to Unplugged. Let's kick this thing off.
Plug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the.
Ooh-wee. Good evening there, Lorain City, Lorain County, and everybody else out there who may be tuning in out there in the internet world. I want to welcome you guys here tonight to a late podcast. I decided to get on this one a little bit late because I decided to watch that new movie online, the one on Netflix with Chris Pratt about the AI. It's pretty good movie. I highly recommend you guys check it out. That being said, let's start out with something here a little bit honest. Got notice today that I lost in federal court, apparently. It was dismissed without a hearing, without any traction. The court said at the federal court level that the complaint didn't meet the required standard, and that's the decision, and there's no point in pretending otherwise. But here's the part that people don't like to talk about. Losing a round doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you didn't meet the standard at that moment required to proceed. Now, those are two very different things. And there's another part of this that matters, something that most people don't understand unless they've actually been through it. When you're proceeding in forma pauperis, which is you're broke ass, the court doesn't let you let your case develop, right? It screens it immediately. And if the complaint doesn't meet the required standard right out the gate, it gets dismissed before anything else happens. No discovery, no opportunity to build the record, no chance to refine the claims as facts come out. So yeah, I lost that round. But I lost it at the screening stage, and that's where everything has to be right the first time, without the benefit of counsel, without the benefit of a developed record. Well, that changes now because now I have the ability to retain counsel. Now I have resources behind this. And when that changes, the entire posture of the case changes with it. Not just how it's written, but how it's fought. And I'll be real about something else. I didn't have it all figured out. Part of that loss comes down to structure, how things are presented, how claims are built, how facts are connected to law. And that matters more than most people think. One second. I apologize. It is just a bit too warm in this house tonight. Now that matters most than most people think, right? Because I started looking at other cases, real cases, filed cases. One of them is the Margolis case out of Amherst, and when you read it, you start to see the difference immediately. It's not just what happened; it's how it's laid out. Facts first, clean, chronological, then the claims, then the law. Everything connected, everything deliberate. Now, yeah, I missed that, but I learned from it, right? I filed this early on because I didn't have the money and I needed to get the case started. But here's what sticks with me. You shouldn't have to reverse engineer federal litigation just to get the system to hear you. Now, while I'm sitting there figuring out structure, figuring out standards, figuring out how to properly, present what happened, the same system I'm learning from is still operating the way it always has, right? That's the disconnect. Because now the question isn't just whether something happened, it's what happens when someone figures out how to properly challenge it. And to be clear, I don't want this to be one sided. This isn't just about me. There are other cases out there raising serious questions about these similar issues, right? In the Margolis case, you got allegations of someone being arrested and prosecuted for a law that had already been declared invalid, unconstitutional years earlier. Not unclear, like not debatable, unconstitutional. And according to the complaint, the alleged victim told the police nothing happened and nothing inappropriate, nothing criminal, and the case still moved forward. Now, I'm not here to decide that case. That's what courts are for. They already decided that he won. That being said, when you start looking at similar themes, questions about probable cause, aggressive charging decisions, gaps in transparency, records that don't show up when requested, you have to ask whether this is isolated or whether it's how things are being done, right? And that's where this stops being personal and starts being systematic. Now let's shift to what's happening right now, because this isn't theory anymore. This is active, right? A phone gets seized, no charges, no case, no docket, just taken. Now the letter shows up from the law enforcement asking for a passcode, not demanding it, right? Asking for it voluntarily, while at the same time saying they've obtained another warrant, saying the original warrant's now sealed and suggesting that federal resources, i.e. the Secret Service, just might be brought in if necessary. Think about that, folks. They want access to everything on the device, but the affidavit, the actual sworn basis for the probable cause, isn't being produced. And the letter that Mr. Galena sent to my counsel makes something else very clear. If the passcode is provided, the process will move much faster. If it's not, the process slows down and the return of the property is delayed. So now the situation looks like this: cooperate and the search happens faster. Don't, and you wait while your property's held. That's how LPD does things. Good job. Now that's not a neutral request for help, right? That feels like leverage. Now, when you layer on top of that everything else, multiple warrants, sealed affidavits, no charges. Now the possibility of federal involvement being introduced, right? What do they think I did? You got to stop and ask the actual process here. Where's the line? Where do we draw the line? Where does the investigation end and where does the pressure begin, right? Because at some point, those two things start to look really similar. And that's where I'm going to leave some space, right? Because this is the part people need to think about. How do you defend yourself against something that you can't see? Why is the affidavit sealed if there's no case? Why is a second warrant happening before the first one was even challenged? Why is federal involvement even part of the conversation over the phone? Or over a phone, right? What exactly is the scope? And why wouldn't anyone define it? I mean, what do they think I did, for God's sakes? At what point does procedure stop looking like process and start looking like pressure? Here's the reality. I lost a round in federal court. That's fine. Because this isn't just about what was alleged. It's about what actually is happening in real time right now. And what's happening raises a simple question. Can the state itself, can it take your property, expand its authority, and still avoid being challenged? Because if the answer to that's yes, then this isn't about one case. It's about a system that moves without ever having to explain itself. And that's where things start to matter. You know, in the last podcast, I talked about structure, how it works in the legal system, not as a style, not as grammar, but as something much more fundamental, right? You know, I even wrote an article on it based off of Judge Kimbler's, thing where it talks about how a sentence is built and it determines how the court sees as responsible before the court ever decides responsibility. Now, once you understand that, once you start seeing how actions are assigned and how actors are either identified or removed, you don't really get to turn that off, right? It changes how you read everything. Now I know how they work. I know how they operate. I've studied the courts. And this to me is honestly kind of interesting. Um, on a side note, as the person that's a party to it, I'm sort of amazed in a really intellectual way to see this. One of the ways that I've always learned is through trial and error, through actually being a party to the situation. So, it would be better to me to understand alcoholics, to go through an alcoholics program, to sit in AA. I've gone to AA classes. I've sat with people who are involved with drugs, alcohol, prostitution, had conversations with them so that I can understand better, because that's the way my brain works. And so this system, this court, this Lorraine government, I'm learning from them every step of the way. And it's kind of amusing to watch them fuddle with this against the citizen who has done nothing but report on them. They honestly think they have something here. They think I've done something to Ray. I already have figured it out, as I always do. My theory is they believe somehow this thing that happened with Arroyo somehow was me. And I think they're trying to drum something up on that. But I think in the process, whoever did whatever was done to Arroyo was also doing it to other leaders within the community. More than likely, they attack people like Carry On and others. And that's not okay. I've come out and condemned that. I'm not on board with that. My daughter is Hispanic. No, not okay. So I'm watching what they're doing, and I know they're frustrated. I know they want me to give them my password, and I could end this easily by giving it to them. But I've also pointed out you have constitutional violations, and I'm nothing but consistent. I would much rather go to court, go to jail, or all of the above than to allow the Constitution to be sullied. So if that's what has to happen as a journalist and a citizen, I'm not going to just acquiesce to your wishes because you want me to. Here's the bottom line. If a cop is asking, the answer is always no. I'm not going to help you incriminate me. Even if there's no incriminating evidence, if there's nothing on there, then you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Yeah, I shouldn't, but I've seen the way that Lorraine police operates. I mean, we can't argue much, but, Galinas was McCann's boy. Say what you want after the Fairy Sox, comments and Galina's comments that McCann got away with. Galinas knuckled under, and he did all of McCann's bidding. I'll discuss this later, but he wrote or authored or reached out many times on behalf of McCann to my board. He's just as guilty as McCann is in that matter. So now I want to take that framework and apply it, not in theory to not some abstract example, but to what's actually happening right now. Because at this point, this isn't just a story anymore. There's a motion on file, a structured legal document. I filed it in court. I filed it, I filed this one pro se. Now, again, I have Robert representing me filing something else in the civil motion on file as well. But those are two separate matters that are going to have to be addressed, and we have to address them separately. So I'm addressing one, he's addressing the other, but there's a motion on file from me, a structured legal document filed in court asking for specific relief and laying out exactly what happened and why it matters. And when you read the motion, you start to see exactly what I was talking about yesterday. It doesn't drift. It doesn't speculate. It assigns conduct. It identifies who did what. It says the stop was prolonged. It says officers seized property. It says a warrant was issued without particularity. It says an affidavit exists but has not been produced. Every sentence points somewhere. Every sentence puts responsibility somewhere. And when you step back and you look at what the structure is actually showing, the picture is pretty simple and kind of pretty serious. There is no case. There are no charges. There is no docket. There is no procedural mechanism to challenge what has happened. The government acted. Lorraine police acted. Ray Carry-On's office. Chief Fowling acted. Lieutenant Galinas acted. But there is no built-in way to respond to their actions, just like they did with the protection order. Now, that's just where things start to break down, folks, because the Constitution doesn't just limit what the government can do. It requires that when the government acts, that there is a way to challenge it. You know, that pesky due process thing they don't like here in Lorraine. Well, according to what's been filed, that mechanism doesn't exist here in Lorraine. There's a seizure, there's a warrant, there's an affidavit that supposedly supports it, but hey, fuck it, we don't need to show you that. There's no way to test any of it, and now it's sealed. Oh, sealed. No way to bring it in front of a court in a normal procedural posture. That's what's happening. While there's no case, no charges, no forms, something else is happening at the same time. There's a letter, right? This letter Galena sends to my attorney after I've already filed in court asking for the phone back, after we've already filed and sent multiple requests to the law enforcement and to the chief and heard not a peep out of these jackasses, but a letter from the law enforcement that changes the tone of everything, right? Because now instead of just a static situation, you have movement, you have expansion, you have additional warrants being referenced. You have the original affidavit being described as sealed. And you have a request, not a demand, but a request for a passcode. And the way that request is framed matters because it's presented as voluntary. You can provide it, or you don't have to. But then the consequences are explained. If a passcode is provided, things move faster. If not, process slows down. The return of property is delayed. Additional resources may be brought in. Federal involvement is brought up. So now you have two things happening at once, right? On one side, you got a motion saying there's no process, no mechanism, no way to challenge what has already been done. On the other side, a system that continues to act anyway, it continues to move forward, continues to expand its reach, and continues to seek access. And that raises a very real question. What does it mean when the state can take your property, continue its investigation, request access to private data, expand its authority, all while operating outside of any formal proceeding where the conduct can be tested? Because at some point, that stops looking like a structured legal process and it starts looking like something else, something where action exists, but accountability doesn't move at the same pace. And this is where everything from yesterday's podcast comes back into focus, because now the question isn't just what happened. It's how it's being presented, how it's structured, how it's being identified as acting. And just as importantly, what is being withheld. Because once you understand how structure works, you start to see that responsibility is clearly placed where it becomes harder to locate. You start to see the difference between a process that's transparent and one that isn't. You start to recognize when something is being carried out in a way that makes it difficult to challenge in real time, which is what they're trying to do. And that's the point where it stops being just a case and it starts becoming something people actually need to pay attention to. Because this is where I start to have a real problem with what I'm seeing. And you should too. Because this isn't the first time I've come across Mr. Kyle Galinas in my reporting. It's not once. It's not twice. No, Mr. Galinas comes up multiple times. His name just comes up all the fucking time. Different situations, different incidents, different contexts, but somehow it keeps circling back to him. And at some point, you stop brushing it off as coincidence. You start to recognize that as repetition. And repetition matters because it tells you where involvement tends to show up when certain kinds of situations arrive. Now, fast forward to this situation, and he's not in the background anymore. He's the one signing the letter. He's the one communicating about my warrant or the warrant, about my phone, about access, about timelines, about potentially bringing in federal resources. Yeah, that's your Galinas. That's your Galinas, Linda. Your sweet little Galinas. That's not in direct involvement. That's front and center. So yeah, I'm going to ask the obvious question. Why is the same person showing up over and over and over in these situations in Galinas? And it doesn't stop there, because now you've got him also being brought in as a witness in the civil protection order at the TPO at the city hall, tied to the same underlying situation. So now we're not just talking about one role, we're talking about overlap. You got someone who may be analyzing events because he's a reconstructionist, someone connected to the warrant process because he's asking for, access, and someone potentially testifying about those same events in a separate proceeding. That's not nothing. That's a convergence of roles. And when the roles start to overlap like that, it raises real questions about how these conclusions are being formed and how they're being used across different legal tracks. Then you zoom out, because none of this happens in isolation. This isn't just one officer acting independently. This is a department. This is structure. This is a chain of command. Investigations don't just run themselves, folks. They're conducted under supervision, under direction, and ultimately under leadership. It may be bad, poor leadership from a dopey ass man that was apparently just like McCann, just different color and size. But when the leadership allows these things to happen, so when actions like this are being taken, properties being seized, warrants are pursued, when access to personal data is being pushed, you have to ask who's doing it, not who's being it done, not just who's doing it, but who it's being done for, right? How does that fit into the broader structure of the department? Layer back onto what's actually happening. My phone gets taken, no charges, no case, no docket. The affidavit that supposedly justify it all hasn't been produced. In fact, it's been sealed. There's no clear way to challenge what they've done. But at the same time, their process keeps moving forward. They still want access. They still are expanding. They're still acting. And that's where the questions start stacking up. Who wrote the affidavit? That's not a small detail. That's the foundation of the entire warrant. Someone swore under oath that there was probable cause to seize my phone. Who was it? And what was it based on? What facts were presented? Because right now, none of it is visible. When you look at timing, because this didn't happen in a vacuum either, that warrant shows up, the seizure happens, and it's all around the same time frame. You got other proceedings moving forward. So what exactly ties all this together? What do they believe is on my phone that justifies all of this? What's the actual basis for taking it in the first place? Because right now the outcome's clear. The phone's gone. But the reasoning behind it isn't. And that's where the pattern starts to matter even more. I mean, at this point, I might as well just go buy a new iPhone. Because this isn't just one incident standing on its own. Over time, there's been reporting, records, situations that all raise similar kinds of questions. Different facts, different contexts, but the same underlying issue keeps coming up. Questions about how decisions are made, how authority in the line is exercised, and how consistent enforcement actually is, and how often those actions are meaningfully checked. None of that by itself proves anything, right? But when you start seeing all the same names, all the same roles, and all the same kind of issues appearing across multiple situations, it really stops feeling random, and it really looks like a pattern. And I'm good with patterns. Once it looks like a pattern, the question changes. It's no longer about what happened in one case. It becomes about how things are being done more broadly. And whether you're seeing that right now fits into something that's all been happening all along. Because at this point, this isn't just about my phone. It's about how the system operates when it's the one taking action, controlling information, and deciding when or if that action gets challenged. That's where things start to matter a little bit. Little Mr. Galenas's, letter is where things start to stand out to me a little. Because it's on paper. It's written like a request, but when you actually read it, it doesn't feel neutral. It says the passcode's voluntary. It makes that clear. You don't got to provide it, but then immediately explains what happens if I don't. Well, the process slows down and my phone gets held longer. More resources get involved. Federal assistance is mentioned. I mentioned that a few times for a reason. So now the choice isn't a choice. It's a choice with a built-in consequence. That's where I start to question really what this is. Feels more like strong-arm robbery to me, but hey, because if one option leads to a faster resolution and the other leads to delay, escalation, and extended retention of property, it stops feeling like simple requests and it starts feeling like pressure. Either you have a crime or you don't. Not a direct threat, right? But something you can point to and say, well, that crosses a legal line immediately. But definitely not neutral either, right? So, and there's another part of this that doesn't set right. The idea that this communication, this letter, somehow isn't meant to be shared. That was the insinuation sent to my lawyer, because let's be clear about something. It isn't a private conversation between individuals. This is law enforcement communicating about an active investigation, about a warrant, about seized property, and about access to personal data. There's no court order attached to that. There's no binding restriction attached to that. So the idea that it shouldn't be shared or discussed, it doesn't come from legal authority. It comes from an expectation. And that raises another question. Why? Why would a communication like that need to stay contained? Galenas. Fucking dick. Because you're not a lawyer, right? That sounds like unauthorized practice of law if you're telling an attorney he can't share shit. Because transparency shouldn't be a problem if the process is solid. And we know, never mind, don't make that comment. And when you put these two things together, the way the request is framed and the expectation around keeping it contained, you start to see something that goes beyond procedure. You start to see how pressure is applied, especially in Lorain County, and how information is controlled at the same time. And that's where this stops being about a phone and starts being about how the process is actually being carried out. Right? I've written about Lorain Police Department extensively, not once, not casually, but over time, consistently across multiple situations, multiple incidents, and multiple areas where their conduct has raised real questions. You know, Rivera's alcoholic spree through the freaking city. You know, we got, you know, Captain Morris telling lies in cases that don't match up with the statements he made and the probable cause statements that he made with the paperwork and the statements he made. None of that matches up. You got the chief of police doing what he did. You've got all these other issues going on in this same shitty ass police department that you guys all want to say back the blue for. Well, back the blue until they fuck you, right? These cocksuckers are straight up being pigs. I've written about it extensively, and I'm going to keep writing about it. That reporting wasn't meaningless. It had an impact. Leadership changed. The chief's gone. It didn't happen on its own, and it didn't happen in a vacuum. And now I'm the one being investigated, not in some vague, low-level way either, right? 7 officers to the side of the fucking road during a stop. 5 officers at City Hall. The chief of police involved again and again and again. For the second time, I've already sued them. Or after I've already sued them, right? That's not normal police interaction. That's escalation. That's presence meant to send a message. Well, message received, Chief Fouling. Message fucking received, right? I got you, right? You kissing that ass, right? Why don't you go suck on Bradley's, or is that Galenas' job? I forget. Yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. You guys lost social worker Aaron. You put him out of business. So now you get veteran Aaron. And veteran Aaron says, go fuck yourselves, you stupid fucking fucks. You think that me saying I'm going to fuck these people up is a threat? That's not a threat. I talk like that. Get fucked, you fucks. That's what I say. Fuck, 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 fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. It's a figure of fucking speech. But let's just talk about these fucking bullies. That's not normal police interaction. That's escalation. They bullied me into this position. And now what's happening, you add in what's happening with my phone. It gets seized, no charges filed, no case number, no docket, no explanation laid out publicly that actually tells me or anyone else what this is even about. The affidavit that supposedly justifies all this hasn't even been produced. It's sealed now. But despite all of that, they move forward. They're still pushing for access, asking for my favors. You lost any ability to get favors from me, you pissed drunk pricks. Why don't you send Rivera to mow me down in a drunken, car? Maybe then I'll tell you. But hey, maybe have a Palmer come shoot my dog. Maybe then I'll tell you. Maybe have, a certain lieutenant bang me in the back of a patrol car. Maybe then I'll tell you. Maybe have officers beat me up behind the FOP. Maybe then I'll tell you. Maybe have a racist chief come at me. Maybe then I'll tell you. Maybe have Galenas, once called Galenas and Fairy Socks by his former chief, who backed down when he was threatened by the chief, who gave up his position within the chief's or within the stupid union, became the chief's bitch, and then wrote my board on behalf of the chief to violate my civil rights. Now you got this. I want to call him something, but I don't want it to come off as being some sort of a. So we'll say now you got this. I can't say that word. Now you got this vagina liquor talking about additional warrants, talking about accessing the phone, talking about the timelines, and mentioning federal resources. Saying it's voluntary to give up the passcode, but making it very clear that if I don't, things are going to slow down. The phone gets held longer, and they escalate. So what is that? Galenas, your pussy liquor? Because from where I'm standing, there's a major disconnect between the level of action being taken and the level of explanation being given. These fuckers are talking about bringing in federal resources for me. Why? They're acting like there's something serious here, but they're not showing what it is. They're taking property, expanding authority, continuing to push forward, and they're involving judges. All while there's no actual case to point to. And look who's involved, right? This time isn't the first time I've come across Galinas. His name comes up multiple times, different instances, all the time. And now he's the one signing the letter on my phone. At the same time, he's being brought in as this witness. They overlap, right? Doesn't separate. Now, investigations don't just run themselves. Warrants don't just appear. Decisions get made somewhere by someone and carried out through that structure. So when you look back at all this together, the reporting I've done, the impact it had, the repeated presence of the same individuals, the level of response I'm getting, and the fact that all of this is happening without a clear charge or even a visible basis, you have to start asking the real questions, because I'm a disabled vet and I get, and right now I'm sitting here feeling like I can't even leave my fucking house without wondering what kind of interaction with law enforcement I'm going to have next. That's not normal. That's not something anyone should just accept as part of everyday life. And this isn't one incident. It's not one stop. It's not one misunderstanding. It's repeated contact, repeated escalation, continued pressure coming from the same department I've been reporting on. So yeah, I'm going to say it straight. How long is it supposed to go on? How long do I have to get fucked without a reach around? At least have Galinas come kiss me on the neck and give me a reach around when he fucks me. Because at some point, this stops being about any one thing happening and starts being about, like, oh, I don't know, what it's like to be on the receiving end of getting fucked over and over and over and over again by your government from the same place, the same authority. No clear explanation tying it all together, and no clear reach around when it's all done. Not even a kiss on the neck or a sweet whisper in my ear. And this is, where things go just beyond what's happening right now, because there's a history here. There's documented communications that didn't just come out of nowhere. There are emails, internal city communications, the former chief communicating with, I don't know, Tia Hilton discussing me, talking about me, and doing it through official channels. That's not speculation. That's documented communication using city systems. When you see that, when you see other officials using their positions and their access to communicate about a private individual in that way, like, I don't know, Mary Springowski, you have to ask what the purpose of those communications actually were. You got Lorraine Ritchie communicating with the law department. And again, not random, not casual, communication tied directly to the same structure that handles legal response, enforcement, and coordination. So now you're not just looking at one person or one interaction. You're looking at multiple points inside the same system communicating about the same individual, me. And when you go back even further, because Ray Carrion, who's now being positioned as the victim, was already talking about me years ago in emails and finding a legal way to deal with me. That didn't start when, whatever they're claiming now. That didn't just appear overnight. That was already being discussed, already being framed, already being thought about in advance, in communication with none other than Her Royal fucking Highness, Mary fucking Springowski. Now you got your timeline. Now you got your prior communications about dealing with me legally. Now you got internal city emails involving leadership discussing me. Now you've got continued communication between individuals connected to the law department. And now on top of that, you got my active situation where my property is taken, no charters are filed, and no case exists. And they're still pushing forward. It's not isolated. That's continuity, folks. The thing is they keep asking if maybe I communicated with the feds. Well, how do you know the feds didn't send me? That's been tossed around before. You guys are doing exactly what I needed you to do. You wouldn't do it completely to Garen. So I get you to do it to me because I know what you're going to do. Okay. Do you think that I would fight? I mean, first off, there's nothing on the phone. Nothing. I promise you. Even if I gave you access, you would find fucking nothing. You're going to find a shit ton of screenshots from Facebook because I always screenshot all the people that are talking, like that pop up on my screen. You're going to find that, and that's about it. There's communications between me and Garen, me and my attorney, me and my daughter, a couple between me and my brother, me and my mom. We exchange recipes. You're not going to find, I don't save videos on that phone. Everything I do on that phone's live streamed. The videos are saved on my body cameras. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm not stupid enough to go out and do that. Just makes no fucking sense why I would put myself in that position. Nothing about me is done without thought, and that's not it. Now, imagine if everything I do, if I tell you something or do something that seems so obvious, then most likely it's not. Most likely I'm briar rabbiting you. I'm playing you. Don't throw me in the briar patch. Please don't throw me in the briar patch. Just whatever you do, beat me, hit me, arrest me. Just don't throw me in the briar patch. You guys don't think that I didn't know what you were going to try to do. You don't think that I didn't see Arroyo's messages come out. You don't think that I didn't already scope out what you did when you tried to do it to Dennis Flores. You don't think I haven't watched and read all of your MOs. You don't think people haven't sent me reports. I mean, you should be asking bigger questions like, why are people sending me full-on grand jury reports unredacted? Maybe ask those questions instead of trying to find out what I'm doing in my phone. I promise you it has nothing to do with Ray or Arroyo or any of you, because I don't give a fuck about you. I really just don't. And it's not to be mean, just why would I? And that's the part that doesn't get said loud enough. I don't fucking care about Ray. I bumped into these people in public so many fucking times. I have zero desire to harass them, zero desire to mess with them. I get everything I need through my interactions in a public space, in a public forum with them as my government. I have no desire to deal with those morons outside of that scenario. Nor would I be stupid enough to send anything to any one of them, regardless of what they may think about me. I'm not a racist. Of all the things I dislike about everything in that scenario, I dislike the racism most. I dislike the horrible grammar and the bad spelling secondly. That's just horrendous. And again, that's not how we move our system forward. People were suggesting, I knew right off the bat they were going to turn on me because somebody in the first window, Arroyo, said recount. I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not going through that again. I don't want to be in politics because people can do to me what I'm doing to them. I don't want that. I don't. I realize that. I want zero to do with that government. I don't want an office. I'm not going to ever run for office again. That's done. Say that out loud. I am now 100% disabled. There is nothing about me that presents some kind of threat that requires this level of response, this level of escalation, this level of continued pressure. So when you hear claims about fear from Mr. Carrion, when you hear someone position themselves as a victim, and you have to weigh that against reality. I mean, honestly, like, is this a guy that's scared of me? What about this guy? How about this guy? Now, again, I have another one where he's, he turns to set this down. Notice the big open office door behind him that he could have walked through, but he didn't. And again, everyone wants to say, hey, you didn't get the door. I got the door slammed on me. I was through the threshold of the door. I was walking towards it. He was walking towards it. He shut the door. I was in it. Carissa can yamble on about, feet or whatever. I don't give a shit what your fetishes are. But it hit my shoulder, not just my foot. But because fear is going to be claimed on one side, while the other, side, you've got a person who can't even leave his house without worrying about repeated law enforcement interactions. Yeah, that works for me. So what exactly are we talking about here? You got Mary Springowski in the middle of all this, tied into my communications, tied into what's being shared. From what I've seen, content making its way online. So, you're not just dealing with internal communication. You're now dealing with how communication is being circulated, how narratives are being shaped, how information moves once it leaves those channels. And again, none of this exists in isolation. It's the same names, the same connections, the same timeline. So when you put all of this together, the emails, the prior discussions, the internal communications, the current actions, and the continued escalation, you're left with one central issue. And that didn't start today, and it didn't happen by accident. This is where I'm stuck, because none of this makes any sense from a basic level. Why would I help them? They've given me no reason to. This is the same department I've written about, the same department that I've had to take legal action against, the same department that has repeatedly shown up with force, escalation, and pressure at multiple locations, including my home. 7 officers on the side of the road, multiple officers at City Hall, continued contact, and now they want me to help? Based on what? You know? And at the same time, they're telling my attorney to ask me for my passcode, saying it's voluntary, but making it clear that if I don't give it to them, they're going to hold my property longer, slow everything way down, and escalate resources. So what exactly is that? Because it's not neutral. It's not just a request. That's pressure. It's, you don't have to, but here's what happens if you don't. I'm coming from the same department and the same person that's involved in all of this in Galenas. That doesn't build trust. It does the opposite. So if they are also sure I committed a crime, then charge me. That's how this is supposed to fucking work. You don't take someone's property, keep it, expand your investigation, and then try to build the case after the fact when there's no charges, no case, no clear explanation. That's backwards. If there's probable cause, if there's evidence, then put it in front of a court and charge it. Right now, that hasn't happened. You got a witness? Bring them forward. I'll gladly prove myself innocent in front of a court of law. I'll gladly present evidence on my behalf. You haven't told me anything. So what proof could you possibly have? That's the real question, because we're not talking about a phone. You know, we're talking about my phone. Nobody else has access to it. Nobody else is using it. There's no witness, not one that could possibly ever testify to what's supposedly on it, because nobody else is in that position. So how do you get probable cause for that? How does an affidavit get written claiming there's a basis to seize and search a device if there's no direct access, no firsthand knowledge, and no actual evidence being shown? Because right now the affidavit hasn't even been produced. The one document that's supposed to explain everything, the who, the what, the when, the why, that's missing. So I'm being told there's a legal basis, but I'm not being shown. I'm being asked to cooperate, but I'm not being told what I'm cooperating with, what they even want. That's the part that doesn't sit right, because this isn't just about refusing to help. It's about being asked to participate in a process that hasn't even been explained, a process where the actions are clear: seizure, pressure, escalation. But the justification isn't. And until that changes, until there's an actual change, an actual explanation, an actual showing of what this is based on, the question isn't why I won't help. The question is why they expect me to. Before I go any further on the legal side of this, I need to take a step back and talk about what this actually feels like. Because that part gets lost and everything turns into warrants, motions, letters. I'm here all the time at this house, 24/7. I have home surveillance. I have a camera sitting right over there on my desk that watches me. Sit right here. I know exactly where I'm at all times. My systems reflect that. My phone is here with me at my house. It's not out somewhere. It's not being passed around. It's not being used by anyone else. It stays with me. And that's what makes this even makes less sense. I don't know where these people live. I'm not around any of them. I'm not interacting with them in person. I'm not moving around in a way that would create that kind of a situation. So the idea that I'm using my own phone, something directly tied to me, sitting in my own house, under my own control, to do something that would justify this level of response just doesn't line up. It doesn't make sense. So when you go back to the warrant, if they already have an affidavit, they already went to a judge and established probable cause, then why do they need me? Why are they asking for my passcode? Shouldn't that witness have it? Why are they pushing my attorney to ask me to cooperate? Shouldn't that witness have given them all they need? Because if the affidavit's solid, if the evidence is there, then they shouldn't need anything from me at all. I'm not going to help them try to convict me. What the fuck? That's how this is supposed to work, folks. The whole point of a warrant is they already established a legal basis to proceed. And then there's the idea that bringing in federal agencies like the Secret Service is somehow supposed to be a problem for me. That part is actually fucking ridiculous. Because if anything, I want that. I want outside eyes on this. I want someone who isn't tied into the same department, the same structure, the same people I've been dealing with this entire time. That's not something that hurts me. That's something that creates accountability. In fact, telling me that if I don't give you my passcode, you're going to bring in feds is the quickest way to ensure I would never give you my passcode. Bring in the feds, please, Galenas. Call the feds, call the Secret Service, call the FBI. I don't give a shit. Call your mommy. Whoever you got to call, bro. That's not something that's going to hurt me. It creates accountability for you, which is something you need. That's something that brings a different level of scrutiny to this city and to this county. And that's what we need. So when you bring that up, it's like some kind of escalation that works against me. It's not. It's not going to land the way you think it does. If anything, it's going to reinforce the question. Because if anything, if you're going to do this, if everything you're doing is legitimate, if the affidavit is solid, if the process is clean, then the outside review shouldn't be an issue at all. It should confirm what they're saying, not threaten it. And that brings me back to where I'm at personally, because this isn't abstract for me. I'm here every day dealing with this, trying to make sense of something that doesn't add up from where I'm sitting. There's pressure, uncertainty, and there's lots of moving parts being directed at me without a clear explanation tying it together. And at a certain point, it stops being frustrating, right? It becomes something else entirely. Because when you got this level of attention, this level of escalation, you're still asking basic questions that haven't been answered, it hits differently. And yeah, at this point, I'm probably going to turn this into something else too. Because if I'm dealing with it every day, I'm going to say it how it is. I might even make a song about it, like Afro Man, right? Because something like this doesn't just sit quietly. It gets turned into something people can actually hear, understand. And actually, that's, what actually you should be paying attention to. And that's where I'm at right now. Because, just like Mr. Afro Man, I feel his pain, like Adams County Sheriff did to him, the Lorain County Police is doing to me. I don't have a lemon pound cake video, but I got some videos of you guys, being stupid, like Rivera, office. I'm not gonna sing his song because I would use his music or whatever. But I mean, like, I could sing a song to any tune. You give me a beat, and I'll make up some stuff about Rivera. I'll make up some stuff about anybody. Officer Rivera drove his car through my eye shed. He didn't give a shit if I was alive or dead. He was drunk as shit out by the sea. No, I'm just saying, like, you guys don't want to play that game with me. I'll sing songs too. You guys are literally barking up the wrong tree. I would love to help you just to get my phone back. But honestly, I won't, because I want to see how far you'll go. If you'll bring the feds in, go ahead. I mean, how much of our tax dollars and resources are you going to waste on something you have zero proof of? Because again, if you're so sure of your affiant, bring them forward. Who's your affiant? It better not be you, Kyle. And I know that's why you sealed the warrant, because you guys don't have a decent affiant. Whoever it is did so, and they have no proof. Because again, anybody that can tell you anything that's in my phone would have to have my passcode, right? And you're asking for my passcode, right? I don't understand. But I'm gonna do a little break here real quick before we come back. I'm gonna go get some more tea, and so stay tuned. I'm gonna play music, but I do want to remind you guys, if I'm such an asshole, I don't know. There's the chief of police with his lip quivering up at me. He was standing at the door trying to deny me access. He told me under threat of arrest, just like his little Lieutenant Thompson did. So again, why would these people suddenly be coming to drum stuff up on me? I don't know. Maybe because your chief and one of your captains violated my civil rights under the administrative ruling of your city clerks, and now you've instructed Officer Galinas, Captain Galinas, Lieutenant Galinas, whatever he is today, to do what he does best and attack, right? So you sent him after me to reconstruct some sort of crime that never occurred. I mean, the ridiculousness that you guys think that I would actually get caught doing something like that is funny in itself. If you actually believe what you're saying, you really should bring me to court. I beg of you to bring me to court. Because again, the the whole federal case getting dumped allows me to go hire an attorney now, come back even stronger, and add on all of the new claims, including the roadside stop, this retaliatory act that's now continued through, a couple of chiefs of police and an entire agency. But one officer in particular, Officer Galinas, keeps popping up, popping up, popping up, popping up, popping up. And since I can't call him the other name because it would be some sort of a slur, see, that pussy licker is an asshole because he keeps coming up in my shit. And I'm tired of it. And yeah, I know. Oh, Aaron, you guys have turned me into this guy. Don't act shocked. Don't act like, it's he did this or he did that. I didn't do shit. I've sat here and gotten berated and beat up by you guys. You let someone like Tia Hilton come after me on multiple avenues, all while the chief of police coordinates with her. All while your law department coordinates with them. You got ex-auditors and Karen Shaver telling you what's going on here. I swear to God, if the truth hit you any harder in the face, it would be like a dick to the face in a locker room. But you don't want to see it, right? You don't want to see any of that, the truth, that fucking thing. I could easily give them my passcode and end this right now. You're right. I really could. But the problem they're going to have with that is I don't want to. Because there's nothing on the phone. I know it. They would never find anything on there, even with the passcode, because I didn't do anything. That being said, why would I help you? I want to watch you make utter fools out of yourself for the next year, because eventually you're going to pay me. Eventually you're going to have to pay me. Just, admit that. You fucked me multiple times. No reach around, no kiss on the neck, no whisper in the ear. This is what you've done. This is your legacy. Nice cleft in your chin there, lip quiver. But, I'm sorry I didn't put one up of a Galinas. I should have gotten one of Galinas today, too. But, again, this guy's scared of me. This guy who literally set his bag and his coat down to come over and shut a door on me. That guy's scared of me. Does he look scared? I got one of the upside of his nostril. Is that scared? I don't think so. I'm just saying. The sheriff, the guy that helped get the sheriff elected, but I'm stupid enough to fucking, please. That's just the audaciousness. Talking about audacious, that's it. You call me a foul mouth, an asshole, and a lot of things, but stupid I'm not. That would have to be the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life, and I wouldn't do it. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. So I'm going to go get some more tea. You guys enjoy some lemon pound cake while I'm gone, and I'll be right back. The ever popular Opus number 1. Straight live from the VA's top hits. Opus number 1. That's right, folks. Opus number 1. I appreciate my one viewer here sticking around. I know it's kind of late, but again, this will get replayed and hopefully rewatched. So this is a section where I kind of plan on doing a little freestyle. I'm at a loss, to be honest. I didn't think they would go this far. I didn't honestly believe that they would do this. I mean, and everyone's all along said, hey, you can't fight City Hall. This is what they're going to do. And I was like, all right, we'll see. Maybe they're right. Maybe these assholes will win. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter. I can't be someone I'm not. Okay? I'm not going to just stand back and take it. I'd rather go down fighting than be a pushover, to just sit here and let them do whatever they want because they have the power, or because they have a badge, or because they're mayor or safety service director. Ray Carrion's a nobody. All of these people are nobodies to me. Why would I want to stalk some fucking jackass safety service director from a town of 60,000 fucking people? I've traveled the world. I've been all across the United States. I've walked on the Great Wall of China. I've been to Germany, been to Japan. I've seen, Kyoto. I've climbed to the top of the great Buddha statue there. I've done all of these amazing things. And I moved here to this shithole to be close to the love of my life and go to OSU. And you fucking people think I give a shit about Ray Carrion? He's fucking nothing. I have his personnel file. I understand. He's nothing. He's done some construction work and some road crew work. Big fucking deal. You guys fucking act like everybody here is so goddamn special. Oh, let's just fucking pat everyone on the back. Mary runs around fucking congratulating and thanking everyone. I'm so sick of y'all's bullshit. It's just ridiculous. I mean, you got Jane and Paula. You guys are, you'll talk to me, but you're always coming in. You're always communicating with, doing your thing. You don't really recognize what's going on around you enough to really take hold and say, hey, this isn't right. And yeah, you take your sides, right? But I mean, again, if you looked at what happened to me, you'd know it was wrong. I mean, I literally had Chief Fowling telling you guys, you can do exactly what they tried to get me in trouble for. And again, I have no desire to go anywhere near Ray Carrion's stinky ass. Not especially after he fucking chest bumped me. That man's out of fucking control. Why would I want to be anywhere near him? He's insane. Like, if that's all it takes to get him that mad, where he will stop and turn around. I mean, you guys can say whatever you want. Oh, he didn't hit you with the door. Fuck yeah, he did. And I was in the doorway. You can clearly see it in the goddamn pictures. You want to ignore that shit? I don't give a fuck. It's still there. And again, I didn't turn around and walk back down the hallway. He did. I stopped at the top of this hallway to deal with Demakia's whiny ass. Demakia was the one shoving Ray back, not me. You turn off the fucking audio. You don't like my voice, you don't like me cussing, but turn off the audio and watch it without audio and see who is aggressive. Who turns around twice? Who keeps coming back? Who set their bag down? Who set their jacket down? Who's yelled at me before? Who had all of the knowledge, all of the power, and is supposed to provide safety within that building and that hallway? Who tried to close an emergency door exit? There's only 2 exits from that room that I can use. So what? So he has the right to slam the handicap exit on me? That's your argument? Okay, got you. And again, doesn't go back to the fact that I made comments about the October 20th one and you did nothing about that. You called me in, AJ, and you fucking lied to me. You're just a piece of shit like the rest of them. I call it like I see it. You sat there and you fucking lied to me. Oh, we're going to investigate. No, you're not. You're going to investigate and find yourselves innocent like everyone does. So again, what am I supposed to do? Just sit back and take it? Bend over and let them fuck me in the ass? I don't think so. I don't think so, Tim. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. I don't give a shit. If you guys want to fucking end me, then just come kill me. Because that's what it's going to take. It literally is going to take you killing me. And I have no doubt eventually you'll figure out how to do it. Because I won't fight back. I haven't gotten aggressive with you. Everything you've tried. 7 officers on the side of the road, 5 officers at City Hall. You don't think that I don't know what you're doing? Ray saying, oh, he owns a gun. Oh, now suddenly I'm a gun owner. Oh, he's this, he's that. Oh, so you know my mental health history. So you acknowledge you know it and you keep trying to trigger me, Ray. I get it. And then to top it all off, you get your police force that you fund, that you give the money to corroborate whatever it is you're trying to do, cooperate with you after they already, shit on my rights a few times to come after me again. That's how you guys in Lorraine do business. I know, right? LPD just beats the shit out of you and then their courts do the rest. I mean, hey, look at what they did in the municipal court. They were robbing you. They call you the money stream. You are the money stream, folks. I mean, look, from a social work perspective, I was going to make $51,000 a year. Now I'm making about that tax-free. Living in a town that, was still, that would have been $11,000 over the lower level. Now, to me, that's a lot of money because I don't live rich. I'm happy to live the way that I live. And I'm happy to be in Lorraine, even if it is a shithole. Because it's the kind of place I grew up in Bakersfield. Although Bakersfield's only like 6 times the size of your town. And that's what I keep trying to figure out. Lorraine acts like it's so, I don't know what the fuck y'all think you are, but I came here at the tail end of your whatever. So to have your enforcement branch utilizing their enforcement powers against me for no reason, a veteran that never leaves his house, and I can prove that. I have video cameras that show when I come and when I go, where I'm at all times. They're very well aware of that. I have a 24/7 witness in my brother that lives with me and isn't working right now because he broke his leg. So he's been here for the last 3-4 months nonstop with me every single minute of every single day, as has my child. What are you guys going to do to argue that? I have physical witnesses to where I'm at because I don't trust you pigs. Why would I? Why would I trust Lorraine police to do anything? Oh, go report it. Why? So you guys can fuck me again and again and again and again? Eat a dick. All of you other officers, eat a dick. One in particular, don't. Because I'm just saying, it's ridiculous. And I sit back and listen to all you people who have lived here forever. Well, that's just the way it is. That's just how it happens. No, it's fucking not. This is insanity. The fucking cops, that this motherfucking Uncle Tom motherfucker fouling. No, actually, I'm sorry. Uncle Tom was actually a good person. This cocksucker, whatever the fuck he is, thinks he can fucking go and do whatever the fuck he's doing to me right now is just unbelievable. You violated my civil rights. You refused to take a complaint. And now you're coordinating an attack on me. You swore an oath to uphold the fucking Constitution of the United States of America and Ohio. And I am disgusted to fucking look at you. You're a piece of shit, Fouling, for doing this. And so is Galinas. You guys are pieces of shit, just like fucking McCann was. Just like apparently all of Lorraine police is. And I know I got a couple of friends on the force. Where are you guys at now? So, Baez, you got anything to say on this, Miguel? You going to stand up for me on this one, Miguel? Like I stood up for you? I got a few of you that have called me up, messaged me, talked to me about things. You guys going to defend me? Shall I name you too? Shall I name all the ones that have given me information? Shall I name you? Bunch of leaky motherfuckers. And now you got the balls to come after me? Give me a fucking break. Bring it on, Galinas. Put on your fucking biggest fairy socks and float on down from fucking heaven. Bring it the fuck on. I'm fucking sick of you people. No, I'm not giving you the passcode to my phone. Fuck off. You want it? Go get your fucking witness to give it to you. Because that's the only way they know there's anything in that phone. And there's not. I just got that fucking phone. Literally, I've had it for like 2-3 months. There's nothing on it. You guys are so fucking stupid. Ridiculously stupid. And now you've involved these jackass judges. And judges are just lawyers who are elected. So again, I've asked to recuse Cook because he's a fucking prick. You literally wrote that I wrote a great motion and then you fucking gaslighted me? Fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. That you don't get to write that in motions after your magistrate fucking crucified me and gave the opposing counsel a roadmap that they followed to do exactly what they're doing now. You guys have violated my constitutional rights so badly. And I know my lawyer can't say this shit and normal people can't say this shit, but as a veteran of the United States military who served my fucking country and I got that honorable discharge up there, I say with all respect and I could possibly muster for you right now, fuck you. And Roth Gary, yeah, let's just bring that up. So you're going to make a decision on my civil case and now this supposed criminal case? No, that's not how the law works, Roth Gary. Again, how are you judges, even judges, when you don't know how to be a judge? Unless a lawyer tells you what the fucking law is, because you're all lawyers. And none of you apparently know the law. Riley v. California, go back to school. You don't get to issue a broad-scale general warrant for a phone, Roth Gary. What kind of dumbass shit is that? Oh, and now you sealed it? So you guys sealed the warrant that I have a copy of? No, you sealed the affidavit. Why? Because it's bullshit. If it's not bullshit, produce it. Prove me wrong. Prove me that you're not a piece of shit. Any of you. Any last one of you prove you're not a piece of shit to me. Because I'm not playing anymore. Like, there's no violence coming from me. It's all words. Rhetoric, whatever you want to call it. But it's my constitutionally protected speech to basically cast disparity upon you pieces of shit. And this is where you've taken me. I mean, again, while I'm on the side of the road, my bootlicking daughter's got her head out the window going, can I have a sticker? Can I have a sticker? Because that's who I raised, right? I raised her to trust the police. Now, I tell her, don't ever call Lorraine police. They'll fucking stab you in the back. I don't back you at all. None of you anymore. At all. If I saw you on my front yard getting the fuck beat out of you, and you said, Mr. Knapp, we know you have a firearm, would you go inside and get it? Posse comitatus? Fuck you. No, not my problem anymore. Oh, Aaron comes in. Oh, I thought you were nice about, yeah, because I made some joke about that quadriplegic guy. Like, right, yeah, lost his arms and his legs, was driving. He was a cornhole player, and somehow he still managed to shoot somebody. How the fuck did that happen? So I said, I guess he wasn't unarmed after all, and everybody lost their mind about that. Got 200 likes on Facebook page for that one, but whatever. Veteran Aaron's back, right? I don't have to be that guy anymore. You guys beat the shit out of him. The social worker guy that tried to help you all you had to do was let him help you, and you just hated his guts, right? So now you get Veteran Aaron. Veteran Aaron gives two fucks about you. So yeah, Kyle Galinas, go fuck yourself. I'm not giving you shit, you fucking prick. Nothing. Nothing. You get nothing from me. No passcode. Bring in the feds. Bring them in, bitch. I don't give a fuck. Bring them. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want, guys. I want the feds here. I want them here. You think I've been doing this for no reason whatsoever? You think that I care about money or lawsuits? No. I care about how I go out. I care about doing the right thing. I care about the Constitution of these United States of America that I swore to uphold and protect. That's all I care about. And you guys are shitting on it. So, you want my passcode? How about no? How about go fuck yourself? Now, if I make complaints about the Lorain Police Department or the Lorain City government, that does not give them the right to turn around and press charges, invent a narrative, and start building a case after the fact while they're still holding my property and refusing to show what this is even based on. That's not how this is supposed to work. If there's a real crime, then charge it and put it in front of a court. But that's not what's happening here. They're fishing. They're acting first, seizing property, escalating pressure, and trying to figure out how to justify it afterwards. And that's the part that doesn't add up. Because right now, there are no charges, no case, no clear explanation of anything. No affidavit being produced in support of the warrant. but they're still pushing forward like something already exists. So yeah, I'm going to say it straight. If complaining about or reporting on police department leads to this kind of response where I'm suddenly the one being investigated without a clear basis, then something's seriously wrong with how this is being handled, because that's not accountability. That's a system acting without having to explain itself. Kyle was already involved in emails being sent to me and about me, including communications that went to my board. And now this bitch is the same one involved in this situation, signing letters about my phone, pushing this investigation forward. That's not some random assignment. That's the same motherfucking bitch showing up again and again and again in something that directly affects me. And that's a fucking problem. Because when someone is already tied into prior communications about me, and they're involved again in a situation where my property gets taken, my rights get violated and shit on, that's not separation, that's overlap. Kyle needs to be the fuck off my case. And it's not just him. It isn't some casual connection where I'm just another name in the report. Everyone in that fucking department knows who I am. The upper echelon know me by name. Most of the officers know me by name. I roll up on them on the street and they're like, Mr. Knapp. And that comes from years of interaction, reporting, and conflict. So let's not pretend this is neutral. This isn't some clean, objective situation where nobody has context or prior involvement. They all know exactly who I am, these dirty fucks. So yeah, I'm going to say it straight. There's no way to look at this and call it unbiased when the same people who have been involved in prior communications about me, who know me, who have a history with me, are the same ones now involved in investigating me and handling my property. That's not objective. That's not detached. That's not independent. And because of that, Kyle shouldn't be anywhere near anything that belongs to me, nor should Fouling or the Lorain Police Department at all. Not my data, not my phone, not anything tied to me. Because that's the point. It's not just about what's being done. It's about who's doing it and whether they should be in that position at all, whether there's already that level of prior involvement and familiarity. If they think I'm just going to hand over my passcode to him so he can go digging through my phone and try to build something against me, they're out of their fucking minds. I don't trust anything about any of these people or about how they're handling this, especially when it's the same assholes, cocksuckers, and one pussy licker who have already had a history with me. The same people who know exactly who I am. The same people who have been involved in prior communications about me. So no, I'm not helping them make their job easier when they haven't even shown what this is based on in the first place. If they really believe there's something there, then do it the right way. Follow the process, follow the law, and stand on whatever you think you have. But I'm not handling anything or handing anything over to these people in a situation that already doesn't make sense. So let's talk about that federal case because, yeah, it got dismissed, but that's not the whole story. That version got screened out. That's exactly what happens when you're filing pro se under forma propus. It gets looked at early, before anything develops, before discovery, and before the record exists. So that wasn't some final word on what actually happened. It was a screening decision based on what was in front of them at the time in that version. Since then, more has happened, a lot more. And because now you have additional actions, additional contact, additional escalation, and more conduct that fits directly into civil rights violations, such as the Rodriguez violations in the stop, the Terry violations in the stop, and the violations of the Riley v. California for the phone. That's going to take out judges' decisions, police officers, and the affiant. So if anything, that dismissal didn't kill anything. It just reset it because now there's more to include, more to document, and more to build the next filing. And this time it's not going to look the same. It's not going to look pro se to be a pro se complaint getting screened out early. This is going to be structured properly, built the right way based on Margolis, and filed by an attorney using the same kind of format you see in cases like Margolis, where the facts are laid out clean and the claims are separated properly, and everything is tied directly to the violations. Now, instead of one version, you've got a stronger one that includes everything that's happened since, one that includes the continued retaliation, the continued contact, the seizure, the pressure, all of it. And on top of that, I'm not stuck in the same position anymore. I'm not filing forma propus. I can pay the filing fee now. That alone changes how the case moves, how it's handled, and whether it gets screened out the same way. So yeah, I lost one round because I couldn't pay. But I learned so much. And what they don't understand is that all they did was give me time to build a better case. And now there's more to put in it than there ever was. And you can go back to the roadside stop, because that's really where this all escalated in a way that doesn't make any sense when you actually look at it. This wasn't some quick traffic stop that ended in a warning or a citation. This turned into a prolonged situation with multiple officers, far beyond what was necessary for whatever the original reason of the stop was. What should have been a simple interaction turned into something drawn out, with time being extended without a clear, legitimate reason tied to the purpose of the stop. I was ordered out of the vehicle. I was put into the situation where compliance wasn't optional, and the tone made it clear that if I didn't go along with everything, it was going to escalate further. And that's not a normal routine stop. That's pressure. And once that happens, the tone stop. That stop shifts from its original purpose and into something else. That's where the problem starts, because now you're no longer dealing with a limited traffic interaction. You're dealing with something beyond, being experienced without justification. You look at the number of officers, 7 officers on the side of the road, 7 for what was supposed to be a traffic stop for a minor lane change. That alone tells you this wasn't being handled like a normal one. That's a show of force. That's escalation. That's about showing 7 officers on the side of the road with me, advertising to everybody what happens when you stand up to the police, right? That's not about safety. That's about control and presence. That's about them showing off. And hey, if that's what you big boys need to do, bravo. You guys you showed that disabled guy. And from there, it just leads directly into the seizure of my phone. No explanation given at the time that actually connects the stop to the phone. No clear articulation why the device was being taken right then and there. Just escalation, straight into taking personal property, something that contains everything: communications, personal data, private information, without a clear, immediate justification being laid out in that moment. And that's when the violations stack. I mean, hell, McCann took Tabitha's phone and put all the sex pictures up on the big screen for all the cops to watch. Why wouldn't they do that with my pictures? I don't know. Well, you've got a stop that was extended beyond its original purpose. You got a situation where compliance was forced under pressure, and you got overwhelming number of officers creating a coercive environment. Sorry. And then you got a seizure of personal property without a clear, immediate explanation tying it all together. And now add that into what's happening. I've asked for recusals with judges. I've asked to be moved out of the same local system, because at this point, the connections are obvious. From appearances, city judges have already stepped back. County judges are being asked to do the same. That alone should tell you something about how this looks from the outside. Because step back and look at it full picture. Multiple officers, repeated conduct, ongoing investigation, judicial recusals, and all of it directed at one person: a disabled veteran, a social worker, and a reporter. What does it look like? Is it more likely than not that somehow I'm this major threat who goes online and tells the truth and writes stories about the truth? That I'm this person that's worthy of this level of response, this escalation, that it needs 5, 7, or more cops to every stop? Or is it, 5 lawyers in court? Or is it more likely that I pissed off the wrong people, and that I know what I'm talking about, and that I've documented things and they don't like it? Because when you line all that up, the stop, the seizure, the lack of charges, the continued pressure, the same names showing up, and now judges stepping away, you don't get a normal situation. You get something that raises serious questions. And those questions aren't going away, folks. We can sit here and talk about Aaron's language or this, that, or the other, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't fucking care anymore. And to be clear, nothing in my statements tonight were meant to be seen as any sort of, homophobic slurs. I was avoiding a certain word because I can only call so many officers on that force a cocksucker, because one of them, it would be deemed as a slur, and I'm trying not to do that. All I'm trying to do is stay, very clear in how I talk shit to people. This is what I'm doing when I make these statements. When I call these guys names, that's what I'm doing. When I use the word fuck, that's how we did it in the military. Maybe y'all don't like it, but I don't fucking care. I like that word, fuck. You can use it for anything. Noun, verb, and adjective. I can take the word fuck and put it in anything. Hey, listen here, you fuck. Don't fucking do that, you fuck, because that's fucking fucked. And if you fuck that, we're going to have to go and unfuck that once you fucked it. And that's a whole lot of unfucking for the fuck that you just fucking did. So don't be a fuck and do that fuck. Right? And if I was in the military, somebody would understand that. And they would just be like, fuck. So again, I use that word a lot. I'm never going to hurt anyone anymore. I don't do that after the military. I'm not a fighter. I'm not going to fight. I'm not looking to physically altercate with anyone. I'm not someone that hides my actions. I'm not looking to go hide from Angel or Carry On or any of these individuals. I'm willing to come to the battlefield on the front line at City Hall and City Council and have these discussions, these governmental forum discussions. I am not, however, willing to engage with them outside of that place. I don't. There's no proof of it. You've never seen me engage with them outside of that. The only time an engagement occurred between me and a council person in a way that was disruptive, in my opinion, outside of council forum was when Angel Arroyo approached me at a polling site, breaking the law, costing me at a polling site while I was out there stumping, and went after me. That's the only time I've had a conversation with a person outside of that, because I don't like those kind of interactions. I have to think now, the way that they've been acting towards me, the way that they've been doing things, the only thing they can think to do to get rid of their biggest problem is to escalate this to a point where they could create a scenario, and this was the best one they could create, and it's weak as shit. Because even if I did give you my passcode right now and you open my phone up, you'd find nada. That being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Thanks for being here. Again, nothing here tonight that's said is meant to be viewed in any way, shape, or form as other than commentary, opinion, First Amendment protected speech, and a little bit of an entertainment. And in the grand scheme of things, I want them to understand that they can't continue to act like this to people. If you continue to treat your citizens this way, eventually they will revolt against you. Say what you want, but they will. You know, it's already happening. And I'm going to say, keep it up in the chats and the comments, all that out there. Those that are following the scenario, those that are commenting, those that are saying you may not like the guy, but they can't do this kind of stuff. And that was the goal. The goal was to get everyone talking. And if they want to throw me under the bus and try to prosecute me for nothing, so be it. That's your go-to there, huh? Right? You can't beat me with intelligence, so you got to go this route. Hey, I feel you, bro. Let me break it down for him so he can understand it. I understand you, Ray. I feel you. You don't have what people call the social skills to deal with folks in public settings, right? So you need protection from people who use big words that scare you. Okay, I'm sorry that my big words scared you. Trust me, I won't ask you questions anymore, Mr. Safety Service Director, sir. With that, I bid you farewell. Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. A little bit crazy, a little bit long, a little bit whatever. But I appreciate you tuning in. And hold on, let me see. I don't even know that it was a little bit long. It was only an hour and 26 minutes. Hell, this is probably one of my shortest ones ever because I didn't stop for a bunch of commercials. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you next time. And law enforcement, be lawful, not awful. Everybody else out there, be safe. Lorraine Police might just get you.